In this video, we will talk about how to use the ArcGIS connector inside of ORD. Now, to get to that particular tool, it's underneath the Open Roads Modeling home ribbon, and at the very end of it, for the Model Import Export, there's the ESRI ArcGIS Services icon right here. This will bring up that tool. This will allow us to grab data that is in a ArcGIS REST service and bring that data directly over into ORD as vector graphics. So I'm going to go ahead and select this icon right here, and this brings up the actual tool. First thing that you have to do is look at the server list to figure out which servers that you can connect to. If you have any questions on which servers that you can connect to for different things, just feel free to call CAD Services and we'll be able to help you out, because currently that server list cannot be pulled from a DGN library, so the user has to manually put those in. So if you click on the server list, this will give you a list of servers that you can pull from. And like I said, you have to manually put these in right now because this is their first version for this particular service. So we have a few services that I've inputted inside of here. But once you come in here and add that, what you can do is come in here, select that particular service, and then go ahead and click on OK. And then you'll see it in URL link. Once you have that, you have to connect to it. So we'll click on the connect. In this REST service right here, I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and I will expand it out. And depending on what folders or what layers that are inside of there, that'll determine what you can see for that particular REST service. And you'll see for this particular one, it's broken out into some subfolders. So let's say we have our area right here, which this area right here is basically Jefferson City. And let's say I want to bring in a layer from this particular REST service for the ArcGIS stuff. Let's say I want to come in and put in a county boundary. So I can go to this particular folder and I can expand it out. And it's going to show me different layers that are underneath there that I can pull from. So I can come in here and do a county boundary, or I can come in here and do election boundaries. I could come in here and do the state, which will bring the state boundary around there. So it's just a bunch of different layers that you can pull from that data that is in that REST service and bring that over into ORD as vector geometry. So on this first example here, I'm going to use the county. So I'll go ahead and double left click on it. And you'll see underneath there that it just has this one layer right here for the county boundary. So if I want to import that, all I would need to do is come in here and click on import. And then you'll notice that down below here, it'll say, once it's finished, how many features it imported. Now on this one here, it actually imported 2 counties. And this all depends on what your zoom constraints are for this particular view, because that's what it looks at. It doesn't look at any geometry that's in the file or anything like that. It just looks at your current view that's out there to bring in that data. So if I go ahead and zoom out here, and you'll see that it brought in 2 counties. This one right here is Callaway County, and this one here is Cole County, because whenever I was zoomed in, it was something like that. So that's one thing that you have to keep in mind whenever you click on import. It's going to look at your view that you're currently looking at. So now just to kind of show you another example, I'll go ahead and go, let's say I want to bring in maybe like my rivers or my streams that are out there that are established. So if I go down to the water folder, you'll see that there's a bunch of different layers that this particular service has. I will go ahead and double click on rivers and streams, and you'll see it's in the list right here. I don't need this one here anymore, so I can go ahead and remove it from this section right here. And you'll see for the rivers and streams, there's just one layer that's underneath that. So if I'm ready to import it, I'll go ahead and click on import. And you'll see that it brought over 207 features. So if I go ahead and pull that down, you'll see those rivers and streams. You'll see that it imports it in. Now if I come up here and do an undo, just to show you the example of your zoom constraints, if I zoom out a little bit farther, and then I do the exact same thing where I click on this layer and hit import, you'll see right here that it's building that, and it brought over 2,481 features. So if I pull that down, you'll see all those streams and rivers that are established out there. And you'll see that it imported that data in. Now this data right here is just regular MicroStation geometry. There's nothing that holds to our CAD standards or anything like that. It just brings it over from how it's developed from this particular service and imports it in accordingly. So let me go ahead and pull that back up. Let me go ahead and do an undo. Now, one piece that you do have to pay attention to, if you want to bring in data like this, one thing you have to pay attention to is how many layers are underneath that particular section through here. So what I mean by that is if I come over to, let's say, the transportation, and I go to transport layers, and I double left click on it to bring it into my list, I'm going to go ahead and remove my rivers and streams. You'll see that I have multiple layers underneath here. So if I come in here and if I were to import it right now, it would import every single one of these layers. Some of these have duplicates, and the reason for that is the way it's developed on the ArcGIS side. Sometimes it all depends on how zoomed in or how zoomed out you are, and there's a bunch of other aspects with it too. But for our purposes, if you just want to import that data, you'd have to come in here and kind of clean this up a little bit to get to just the layers that you want to import. So, I don't want to import 3 minor roads layers where they're basically over top of each other. There's no reason to do that. So I can come in here and remove that layer, remove that one, and I can do the same thing for each one of these duplicates that are out there. And then once I have my layers that I want to bring over, once I have that, just simply hit import. But like I said, the main key with this is whenever you do import it, make sure you have it with the zoom constraints that you want at that time. Because you see, as I zoom out, you won't see any roads that are through here or out here. It's all dependent on what your current zoomed in or zoomed out view at that time. So that's the basics of using this particular REST service that's out there for the ArcGIS connector. You can import whatever data that's contained in any of these folders, or if you want to go to a different server, you just go to the server list, click on that particular server, and then find the layers that you want to bring in for general information for that. Now, once you close out of this tool here, for my last remark, you see that we have all the data. But if you come back into the actual tool, you'll see that your URL link is now gone again. So basically what you have to do is go back to the server list, click on the one that you want to go to, click on OK, connect to it again, and then expand that out to the folder structure or whichever folders or layers that you want to import in. Just kind of keep that in mind. If you are utilizing it, if you close out of it, you have to reconnect to that URL link. So that's the basics of using this ESRI ArcGIS Services Connector tool.